Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 3, A United Egypt. Today we're going to be taking a look at the time when Egypt became a world power, when Egypt became one of the greatest civilizations in the history. Skillful farming led to more food than was needed, or a surplus. This freed some people to work as artisans instead of farmers. Artisans wove cloth, made pottery, carved statues, and shaped copper into weapons and tools. Now Egyptians had goods to trade. First they traded with each other up and down the Nile River. Then they traveled to Mesopotamia to trade. There they may have picked up ideas about writing and government. Irrigation systems needed to be built and maintained. Grain had to be stored. Disputes over land needed to be settled. Gradually, government emerged. The earliest rulers were village chiefs. A few strong chiefs united villages into small kingdoms. By 4000 BC, Egypt was made up of two large kingdoms, Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. About 3100 BC, Narmar was king of Upper Egypt. He led his armies north and took control of Lower Egypt. Narmar ruled from Memphis on the border between the two kingdoms. To symbolize the kingdom's unity, Narmar wore a double crown for both Upper and Lower Egypt. Narmar's kingdom held together long after his death. His family passed down power from father to son to grandson. This is called a dynasty. Over time, ancient Egypt would be ruled by 31 dynasties for about 2,800 years. Historians group Egypt's dynasties into three main time periods: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. Each kingdom had a long period of strong leadership and stability. Different social groups in ancient Egypt looked like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid sat the king. In the middle were the priests, nobles, traders, and farmers. On the bottom were the unskilled workers. If you remember from Unit 1, there are many common features of civilizations. When we talk about specialized workers, such as craftsmen, or traders, or farmers, this is where Egypt becomes part of a larger civilization. We've also talked about a system of record keeping in Egypt called hieroglyphics. If you remember, hieroglyphics is a pictographic or a system of writing made out of pictures. We've also talked about some of the government, religion, and other formal institutions in Egypt, but we'll get more into those later. Back to the social classes in Egypt. Egypt's upper class included nobles, army commanders, priests, and government officials. They lived in cities and on large estates along the Nile. Their homes were made of wood and mud bricks. Servants waited on them. They dressed in linen and wore makeup and jewelry. Egypt's middle class, its skilled workers, included traders, artisans, and shopkeepers. They ran businesses or produced goods. They lived in smaller homes and dressed more simply. Artisans produced linen, cloth, jewelry, pottery, and metal goods. Poor farmers made up the majority of Egypt's population. Some farmers rented land and paid for their rent with crops. However, most farmers did not do this. They worked the land of wealthy nobles. Farmers lived in villages along the Nile. They had one-room huts and ate bread, vegetables, and fruit. City dwellers were often unskilled workers who did physical labor. They unloaded cargo from boats or made and stacked bricks. They lived in small mud brick homes with dirt floors. Women dried fruit, made bread, and wove cloth on the flat rooftop of their homes. In ancient Egypt, the father headed the family. However, Egyptian women could own property, buy and sell goods, make wills, and get divorced. Upper-class women were in charge of temples and could perform religious ceremonies. Few Egyptians sent their children to school. Mothers taught their daughters to sew, cook, and run a household. Boys learned farming or skilled trades from their fathers. Children played with board games, dolls, spinning tops, and leather balls. As a review of what we learned today, Narmar united Upper and Lower Egypt in 3100 BC and became one of the most powerful rulers at the time. Egypt also had social classes with the pharaoh, or the king, at the top, skilled workers in the middle, and unskilled workers, such as slaves, at the bottom. Thanks again for listening to this installment. Have a great day.